Good morning, viewers. Welcome to the YouTube channel Lex Consilium Foundation. Here I am Major General Neelendra Kumar in conversation with Brigadier Rupinder Dhillon. Brigadier Rupinder Dhillon is a very well known and a gallant, brave officer of Indian Army. He is from ex-NDA back and he was commissioned into 6 para. And after the 6 para, so he was accepted after the initial probation, etc. The procedures, very stringent scrutiny and entrance into 6 para. And he did a tenure with the Ladakh Scouts. And during the period 78 to 80, he was one of those called upon to do very important, significant work in the Siachen glacier. Later, he raised 34 RR and subsequently he commanded the Dograi brigade and commandant was the commandant of the Army Airborne Training School, from where he eventually retired in 2008. Brigadier Dhillon, Rupinder, I am taking you to the year 1978. That was the time when you were part of the 6 para, not 78, 1988, part of the 6 para. And the para brigade was in Agra, commanded by Brigadier Bulsara. And in the month of November, your battalion did a wonderful task at a very short notice, in fact, at no notice, with no prior information, no warning order per se, and you had no information about the opposing forces moved by air by the Indian Air Force to Maldives. And I would request you, for the benefit, for the information of the viewers, to recount that operation, that mission, when you were with the 6 para that was commanded then by Colonel Joshi, later Brigadier Joshi. So take yourself to those days and what memories come to your mind of November 1988.
In February 1988, we moved down from Manipur to Agra to be part of the 50 para brigade.
Right.
I was the Charlie Company commander. That time, now Brigadier Joshi had not taken over as yet. Colonel Dheer was still in command. While at Agra, my company was the first company to convert onto the IL-76s, or jumping from it and operating exit. In addition, what had happened was that we had a system where we used to have paired companies doing the training, and 2 companies, other balance of the rifle companies would become the duty companies or the leave companies. I had just finished my company's training cycle, and on 3rd of November, I was in the officer study room writing the training report of the company, because I was to proceed on leave in about a couple of days thereafter. The company was the duty company. People are pushed off on, some people are pushed on leave. Some out loads which had come on 3 railway stations, people are out collecting that, and all of the getting. Matter of fact, in the company location itself, it was only myself, 1 JCO, and 2 other ranks. That's all. In the company location that time, other people are all over collecting stores and things. They were collecting stores when they land up in a station. There are people who are to go and collect them. Otherwise, damages get charged. So that particular day, as luck would have it, so was the land up 3 stations of Agra. Agra Fort, Agra Kent, and Raja Ki Mandi. People are gone all over the countryside. It was between 10 and quarter past 10. The sequence is very clear because I've gone through the sequence. So about between 10 and quarter past 10, I just came out of the officer study room to have a cup of tea, and then Colonel Joshi, who had taken over the battalion about 2 months back, he poked his head out of his office and said, "Can you come over?" And that was the other end of the corridor. So I went out there. So he says, there is a requirement of an airborne operation. Your company is to be the pathfinder company. Give your necessary warning orders, and you and I have to go for briefing to the brigade headquarters. I told him, I said, look, but there's hardly anybody around. He said, no, just push out the warning order. So I said, all right. So I called up the quartermaster. Now, as luck would have it, that day itself, the CME was also on. So all the vehicles were lined up and opened up all over. So I told him, he was a great man. Bell Chand was his name. So I said, Bell, This is an op, not an exercise, not an alert. Get hold of a motorcycle and send it across all. Get all my people out here. Take this as the warning order. So he said, we just finish off. There's a little bit left. I said, no. Take out the inspection team, put up a cycle, and send people off. And he did. Self and the CEO, we got into his Jonga and pushed off to the brigade quarters. By that time, Brigadier Bulsara had also come back. He was out on inspection of one of the units, and matter of fact, he was probably, I think, he had gone to the ATS, if I'm not wrong, that day. And he came back. The briefing that we got was very perfunctory. It was that there's an airborne operation in which probably it might be two companies, maybe a battalion complete, maybe a brigade. The pathfinders to be done
Who
by
gave
my
this
company.
briefing?
This was given by the commander himself.
Okay.
He had come back by
Brigadier
the time,
Bulsara.
and he had been with us, right?
Okay.
He had been apprised by the BM. BM was General Vinod Bhatia, that time Major Vinod Bhatia. Something aside, what had happened was, in the morning, the army had been alerted to stand by for an operation. So the vice chief had been apprised of it. Vice chief was General Rodrigues. As Murphy's Law operates normally, the op hotline between the army headquarters and parabrigade down that day. So that took time, and he wasn't aware of it. That the orders are not gone across. So between about 8 to just about 10, there was no communication to the parabrigade that there's an op on. And parabrigade came to know about it only at about 10 o'clock, when the call was routed through the one core com center, and it was put through. I was told that, okay, get hold of your company and be at the airfield by 2 o'clock. And that I would be made up with some additional strength. And there will be another company which will come up as follow on, which will be Delta Company.
Okay.
Major weight. Companies got together. We landed up at about 3 o'clock or so at the airfield. That is where 44th Squadron was. So when I went out there, so I was told that these are the three aisles which are going to be used for the operation. There were three of them. Chalk mark so and so will be the aisle in which your company will be there. So I briefed my people accordingly. And meanwhile, as normally happens, information keeps flowing in. So we were given a map that this is the airfield that you will be landing or capturing. We didn't know at that time, but that was actually the map of the GAN airfield.
Okay.
Not of the concerned airfield. So anyway, so we started practicing that on the runway while the rest of the people were coming across. I had gone across somewhere, and when coming back along the runway, I found a jeep had broken down. And there was a brigadier from the army headquarters, who turned out to be later on General Madek, and Air Force officer with him, Goel, Group E Goel. I knew Group E Goel because when I had done the conversion, he was commanding 44th Squadron. Malek introduced himself that I am from the MO, I'm the TDMO, and he said we got to go to the.
You didn't recognize him. You didn't know him.
So, no, I didn't know him. He said we got to go to the 44th Squadron crew room. I said, hop in, sir, and I'm also going there only. So we will land up in the 44th Squadron crew room. So once, by the time everybody had started coming in, the commander had come in, everybody had come in. We were told that time, I was told that there are 67 automatic opening devices available for the parachutes which are used from the IL-76.
Okay.
These are the number of people I had to have ready to jump. I said, fine. Okay. So we did the shuffling, whatever had to be done. And I moved in for the briefing. As luck would have it, General Malik said that, well, I'll do the briefing. So Brigadier Bulsara said, fine. We sat down. And the information was very sketchy. Basically, the operative parts of the information which concerned us was, one, there has been a coup in Maldives. Early in the morning, mercenaries have landed out there in ships. They have seized control of the complete island, the capital. They impose a curfew. The location, president is alive or not, is not known. Okay. Hopefully he's alive somewhere, but where he is, we don't know.
Location not known.
Location not known. Next thing was that the number of militant was anything between 400 to 500. That's what we were told. It turned out to be wrong, but that's okay. But that was what the information we were getting that time, right? And we are reacting to it. So, and the next thing was that they got automatics, may or may not have rockets.
Okay.
The next thing that was given was that they have fired upon the exchange, put the exchange out of order. Not known to them was that there is something called a standby batteries of the exchange. So the exchange, which are run by I think Cable and Wireless British company, that has cut through, and a call was there was one telephone connection available, which are routed through embassy high commission in Colombo, and the naval advisors are manning it, and onto, and the other side, it was being manned by the PA or the PS to the president. We were told, okay, this is what the issue is. Then he says, you will, this is General Malik, that time he says, you will jump your company into this football stadium. There's a football stadium. Now, Malé, as everyone knows, a very small island,
Yes.
about 3 odd kilometers in length,
Yes.
about 1.5 2 kilometers
Yes.
in width, right? And there was a football stadium, which was the largest piece of open ground out there. He said, you will jump your company into this thing. So I told him, I said, no, I can't jump a company in there. He said, why? I said, look, I am a combat oriented company. We got combat load. We are all heavily laden, right from me downwards. And the number of people who can fit into that thing in a drop will not be more than 2. He says, no, but I've seen it in Delhi. So he had probably seen them during the Asiad, where they're doing those monkey tricks, with the free fallers. So I told him, those are monkey tricks, those are what is called Hollywood jumps,
Yes.
right? We are not into that. We are into serious business. We are very heavily laden,
Yes.
right? We can't be jumped into this. So now it became a bit of a Mexican standoff. So then the thing came, okay, there is a thing called the reclamation area on the western side. So we had a look at that. So that was also nothing great. So I said, no, this is want to. The groupie Goel, he says, okay, what we do is we will, make you do 2-door exit rather than a 4-door exit, which anyway had not been done till that time. We had only done 3-door exit till that time. Circuits, and I'll drop you in short sticks.
Right.
Then I told him, I said, sir, out here in the home desert, on one of the drops, you dropped me about 4 kilometers out of the desert. Here, this is a coastal area. Their wind speeds are far more. We'll be having most of people drifting off into sea. So he said, what is the option? He said, so I told him, I said, drop me onto the airfield. What I forgot to mention was we had also been briefed that the airfield of the island is separate from the island on a small island by itself. It is very narrow sort of a stuff. And we are not aware whether it's held or not. So they said, well, we don't know whether it is held or not. So I said, okay, if it is held, drop my company. I will clear that thing. And then the rest of the people can be flown in. And he says, then how will you go to the island? I said, I'll command your boats. He said, no, but there are no boats. Mercenaries out there or they are not there. If they are there, then they would have definitely come in a boat. They would have swum across there, right? So I'll use the same boats.
Now just tell
You
me,
get a point?
all this conversation would have taken place how much time?
Okay, this complete thing took about 15 minutes. This to
15
and
minutes
froing.
was, yes,
Yeah,
this discussion.
yeah. So what happened was that he says, no, but I told you there are no boats out there. He got
Yes.
slightly testy. So I said that's silly. All this, because probably what had happened was the general had forgotten that he's briefing me and not giving an orders group.
Okay.
There's a difference between an orders group and a briefing.
Right.
In a briefing, the person being briefed is free to interject where and when required because
Okay.
he has to execute the task. So I had to first do that.
Who all were there at this point of time?
Everybody was there. The commander, my CO, spotting units, all the Air
That
Force
was
officers.
KKK Singh.
No, 17th Field was also there. Yes, he was also there, but the whole lot of people.
Okay.
The briefing room was full. I was right in the front because I'm the person who's going to be executing it,
Yes.
right?
Deputy Commander was also there.
Deputy was also there.
And your DQ?
DQ was also there because he had been running around getting hold of transport and
all
other things.
concerned were there.
All of us were there.
Yes.
But I am the person who's to do the
Yes.
final execution. So I am the person who's interacting. No?
Right.
And he walked up, tuck, 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 tuck. He said, I'll take it from here. Malik, what is my task? He says, your task is to rescue the president and, if possible, restore the government of Maldives.
Yes.
He was exact word. He said, fine. If he had to do it, he says, this is the way it will be done. One, the Air Force will make an attempt to land Charlie Company Group on Honolulu airfield. Charlie Company Group will initially seize it, rest of the people fly in, and then proceed further. In case it is held, the aircraft will circle around and drop Charlie Company Group onto the airfield. Airfield will be held by Charlie Company Group. And once cleared by him, the rest of the airstream will fly in. So now the the complete briefing room was cleared of people. It was only about 4 or 5 of us out there. And the
Who all
call
were
got
there?
put through. Brigadier Bulsara,
Ha,
Brigadier Malik,
ha,
self,
ha.
the Air Force person, right? 3, 4 of us, that's all.
So when you say Air Force person, it meant Goel or Bevur was there?
Bevur also, because Bevur commanding squadron. Bevur had taken over the squadron from
Okay.
Goel.
So both Goel and Bevur.
They're both there.
So at that point of time, you were there, and besides you, it was your commander, Brigadier Malik, and Goel and Bevur.
Bevur and maybe 1 or 2 other officers.
One or
which
two
I'm,
others,
because
maybe.
now,
Yeah,
I'm
that's okay.
to and froing between the vice chief and the commander. The commander was very firm about his ground. The vice chief was slightly, I thought, out of line and not required, whichever way he spoke. But anyway, hats off to the commander. He kept his cool and he told him, his words
Commander
were
held
very
his
clear.
ground.
Yes, I remember his words very clearly. His thing was, because he had said something, he said the exact words.
These were the words used.
Yes, sir. These are the
And
words.
was then Major Bhatia, the BM, also there?
I'm not aware whether he was there or not. He might have been, may not have been. I'm not, because you see, I'm right in the front row, so I didn't look around behind, right?
Okay.
No, the thing for the people who called in. He says, gentlemen, we will land. He says, unoccupied, the thing to carry on. If occupied, suck it, drop Charlie Company Group. We will see the thing, give the orders, then we will land. We proceeded. By the time it was about touching 4:35 or so, we proceeded to our aircraft. Now, there, very interesting thing had happened. When we started on the thing, there were 3 aircraft lined up, but in between, on its own, without knowledge of the rest of us, 1 aircraft was diverted to Gwalior
To Gwalior.
to stage manage the Mirages. This was done by the A1 from Air Headquarters. I think Air Marshal Patni was the name, if I'm not wrong. That's right.
Vinod Patni.
That's right, I think. He
Okay.
was the thing. So it was, it had pushed off. Now we come outside, we find the and meanwhile, people have been told, okay, no, just. So people were adjusted into a different aircraft. A bit of a schmozzle out there. So anyway, we sorted it out. Meanwhile, when people came in, so what had happened was that because the chalk number had changed, the lead aircraft with which my company was mounted became the number 2, and the aircraft was becoming number 1. So then the crew had to swap. Ours was supposed to be the lead aircraft.
Yes.
So the crew then swapped the side and we took off. Okay, so we took off. Call bird had been fixed up to say, give a thing whether it's all clear or not. Hudea call sign from the Maldives side, which we got when we were somewhere over, I think, Trivandrum or somewhere around there. Ours was a direct flight. And then we came in, we lined up. The lights of the airfield were switched on for just about 2, 3, 5 seconds for the aircraft to line up and switched off, and we did a landing.
I will intervene here. Did you have any other officer?
Yes, I was given an officer called M.K. Singh as my company 2IC, because my company 2IC was on doing a course.
So he was your company 2IC, and
was
you
my
would
company
have
2IC.
had how many JCOs at that time?
I had that time I had 3 JCOs with me. 1 officer was given, and what a drill which we used to follow was that the company 2IC
Yes.
generally used to take over the senior most platoon of the company.
Okay.
So Mike, the company 2IC was made over to take over 10 platoon.
Ultimately, you had 2 officers under you.
Sorry, not 10, 7 platoon.
Okay.
No, I had 1 officer under me. There were officers in addition to that, in the aircraft, I had Maj Singh, was Tata Company commander
Okay.
on the battalion.
Oh.
This is company. The follow-up aircraft, we had NKS Sky, was a company of 3 para, which were under command 6 para.
Yes.
So there was a fair amount of force by the time.
Yes,
You see,
yes.
because the information which we had, which was wrong, but we didn't know at that time, was there about 400 to 500 mercenaries. It turned out to be there about 100 plus minus some. But that was about. We landed up out there. We took over the parameter. I cleared off the terminal, cleared up the ATC.
Yes.
By the clearing the ATC, so I could see the flashes across the harbor. We later on realized that they were firing at the NSS headquarters, their fort, right?
Right.
So there was somebody talking on the telephone now. We don't know whether he's pro, against, what is anti-sex. So I said, okay, line up there against the wall. I said, whom are you talking to? He said, I'm talking to the NSS headquarters. I said, put me through. So I spoke to the that time, if I'm not wrong, a person called Major Adam, I think. Adam on the telephone of the NSS, right? And his voice was slightly shaky. I could understand that.
Right.
So I told him, I said, yes, this is the commander. Though I wasn't the commander, but I took that sort of thing. I said, yes, I'm the commander. Thank God you come. Get over fast. I said, no, don't worry. There are a lot of us out here. We'll be out there. I said, what is the situation at your end? He says, they have made a hole in our port wall and with a rocket and they're firing through it. I said, okay, fine. Have you got a GPMG? He says, yes. And they put up a GPMG against to cover that hole, and then put in some sandbag or something to cover that hole. Don't worry, we'll be with you shortly. So he was reassured a little bit. By the time the next people came in out there, and I exited that thing. Then I was told, okay, hand over the parameter, three-para company, move up thing. Meanwhile, we're lining up some boats. So I relit my company. We moved to the launching place, which is the jetty. Now there, what had happened was, I put in the order of march. I said, okay, the lead platoon, which will be led by MK, will be the first boat, and we would follow, and mine was to follow. What happened was that in that particular boat, it was taking some time to load up. So I said, okay, you go tail and Charlie, I put my boat in front, and let's go. Now, my boat was not to have sapper rep to bring the boat back. Other was to have. What the sapper did was, since he realized that my boat is going to be the lead, he got out from MK's boat and came into my boat. Now, that day itself, at the airfield, we had got a draft of about 8 people died from the center whom nobody had ever seen or heard in the company, right?
Yes.
Okay. So anyways, everyone thought that he must be one of those guys or something. So he got in and we went across the...
These were Babaya's boys, OC engineers.
No, one person was Babaya's person. The other guys were from our center only. My Siachen and all thought he's one of those newly arrived people, and went across and matter of fact, we crossed the wake of the progress light in which the rebels were fleeing with the hostages. We cut across that wake.
Okay.
A bit turbulence out there.
Right.
We landed up on the same western reclamation site by the side of the seawall, jumped across. So when the chef's turn came, so he was hesitating. So Siachen had come. So he said, Siachen thought he's probably getting frightened.
Yeah.
Udhar jayega, nahi to goli maar dunga. So poor chap came out. You understand about it? This is live situation. Secure that area. Guide was to come out there to take us to the deputy defense minister, the defense minister's house, and from there we were to go to the place where the president was in hiding. The guide comes pedaling on a cycle in a lungi and a thing. No, we didn't know that he's going to be in civis.
Yes.
We took position by side of thing. Remember, it's all dark, so we took position on the side of the track, and between my runner and me, we picked up the guy off his cycle when he came in. He had the fright of his life, and all is well that ends well. So he said that he'll come to guide us. I said, thank God. And we pushed off from there. Meanwhile, the steward also landed up. He said, I'll get the next lot to organize the staging out here. You push off. And he also followed. We went to the defense minister's house. From there, gave us another guide. We commandeered a pickup, which fortunately had a key in it only. We picked it up and drove it wrong and came to the house. Now, the house where the president was in hiding was precisely about 200 or 300 yards away from the Indian High Commission. And the RAW and RJA had no idea whatsoever that the president was out there. And the president was put in hiding in the 7th quarter. So anyway, there was a bit of a thing. The guard was apprehensive. Who are we? They didn't know anything. But then, moment when the guard, I actually then told people, jump over the wall. Then they saw people. There were people with the turbans also. So then they got reaction. They opened the gate. We went in, and we met the president. We gave him compliments of the Indian Army and the country, and reassured them. His wife was there. His daughter was there.
Right.
It was quite a sight. Pathetic way. Anyway, so then having done that, then I told Mike, I said, Mike, you take care of the president's security out here. Put in people all around. Don't let anybody know. And the first available thing, we will move in from here also so that we don't know who's on which side. So we went up ahead and dropping up people en route and all. Went past the NSS headquarters, went to the end of the quay, and there was a boat under an officer of 3-para, which was to do a bit of diversion, but it was to do a diversion that side of the seawall. In enthusiasm, they also came into it. Now, we didn't know who they were, so we hailed across the boat. Chief 2 come the side. There was no reply from that side. So then, by that time, I had total with me was myself, my runner, and two people of the MMG detachment. Then I put the gun here and I started giving orders to the gun to engage the boat. So then I get out from the side that Punekar was officer's name. He says, I'm Punekar. Oh, I said, damn it, why didn't you speak up? There would have been a blue on blue.
Yes.
So it was okay. And we came back. During dark only, moved the president without anybody coming to know into the NSS headquarters. Maintain the deception. They kept the complete guard and few visible portions on the same house. That was so that everybody thinks the president is over there. Actually, he's not there. While that was going on, the Siachen, who was part of that caboodle, he started deploying people. He put a person on top of the water tank.
Water tank.
There you climb up there. Yeah.
Yes.
So that person happened to be person from Papaya's outfit, the sapper, who had been spondyed along with us.
Yes.
So that time again tried to tell him that, look, I am not from your thing. I am moment your opportunity says, "Muh khola, goli maar dunga." Cutting back to the thing, got back to the headquarters. A call was then put through for the president to thank the prime minister. So the call was initially, as I told you, we were through the naval advisor in Colombo. So the naval advisor spoke to me. I spoke to him. President would like to thank the prime minister. Oh, he said, thank God you guys are there and all that. He says, I'm just putting you through the MO room. Person on the other side picks up a phone. So he said, Rajiv, I thought it is probably one of the duty officers in the MO ops room or something. No, I didn't know that it was directly picked up to the PM. So I said, Rajiv, President of Maldives would like to speak to the PM. Could you please put the call through to PM? I could hear a little bit of chuckle off the line. He says, Major, I am the PM. I said, sir, I'm sorry. He said, no. He says, firstly, thank the commander. Thanks to the Indian Army also. You guys have done a good job. And can I now speak? Then I put the call through to him.
Oh,
Interesting thing.
very interesting.
Okay. Find a patrol of 411 floating around and a JCO. So I thought they're wrecking the K and other things, that normal thing. जैसे कल तुम्हें से साहब आपके साथ कोई मेरा आदमी तो नहीं है तो मैं कहा मेरा आपका आदमी तो मेरे साथ आना नहीं था कहती साहब हमारा एक आदमी चक्कर देते हैं asked everybody as MK. I said no, I don't have. I said no, nobody has anything. So he said no, we don't have any. It was passed on to then Babaya also spoke to me. I said no, we don't have. Evening there was a conference. And by that time, then we had the situation under better control. So we had pulled out the deception guard which was there on that house. Person gets detailed as one of the backup guard for the press conference.
Okay.
So I get a call from Babaya. He says, what is this? You are telling me that you don't have, but I find the photograph. He's standing there with the thing. I said, what? So we called him. So I said, why did you tell? He said, sir, why do you, whom do I tell? I said, why? Whenever I open my mouth, Siachen would tell me, I'll better kill you. So I said, okay, nobody kills anybody like that. So I called the Siachen. I said, Ram Khiladi was his name. And he was a planning walker, much otherwise other than his physical thing. I said, Ram Khiladi, ये क्या था? कहता था, मैंने सोचा कि वो जो 8 लड़के आए थे सेंटर से, मैं कहा अच्छा उनसे है, और शायद घबरा रहा होगा, डर रहा है, तो मैं से बोला था. But anyway, I made sure that just because of that one act of his, this person got promoted, went all the way up to a Sivila Major, became later on a honorary officer. Because it deserved it. I mean, that was command and control under actual conditions, the way it is. So that's the way it went about. The basic thing which comes out is, what is, a lot of time we get steamroller into a thing. So there were some things which we should have learned earlier on, but which we learned very well out there. One was that you don't just blow a whistle and say people go.
Okay.
Things don't take place that way. That is a way a mob goes. But an organized body of troops doesn't go that way.
Yes.
There has to be organization, blah, blah. So that's why the Parabrigade insisted on, and ultimately the country did designate it as the Rapid Deployment Force.
Okay.
So you would have a company at certain hours of notice, a battalion at certain hours of notice, and the company which was that many hours of notice would have everything, including the packs and all ready with the food and everything, right? So that within hours they could be airborne. The second thing is the propensity which all of us have, we forget when we rise up, becoming staff-oriented. We get involved with so many people, so there's a company. No, it doesn't make a company. You may have 120 bodies, But that doesn't necessarily make it to a combat company.
Yes.
A combat company would have a command and control structure. It would have a communication structure. They are trained together. They know each other's plus and minuses, right?
Yes.
That's how it. That's how it
Undoubtedly.
becomes effective. That's right.
Undoubtedly. Yes.
So here, just saying, oh, इतने बंदे इधर भेज दो, इतने बंदे इधर भेज दो. No, that is a staff officer's way of doing it. That's not the way a commander should operate. So we learned a lesson. They have made sure that we never falter from that. The next thing is, which we learned was that you have to have your int on, spot on, as far as possible. There will always be shortcomings in that. There will be gaps in that. But it can't be in such a true void. All said and done, I mean, fine, things are not right. They could have gone wrong.
Yes. Yes.
You get the point?
Yes.
Right. Okay. The next thing is that any operation like this, you have to have a tactical plan and a deception plan. And both have to be coterminous. Now, normally what happens is in an airborne operation, what happens is that you first go into quarantine, then things start off and all you do rehearsals and all that. So there's enough time available for the deception plan to be mounted and the thing to be mounted. Here, there was no time.
Yes.
So what happened was that everybody was ad-libbing. Like I remember, like when I asked by my wife, somebody said something, right? Somebody said we're going for training to the high altitude. Cannot stand the time over time things
Right.
break down.
Yes.
That's the next thing which has to be kept in mind. The third thing was communications. Now those were not the days of communication today. I still remember later on, just to keep us in touch, they moved the dish, for satellite communication, which used to be the standby dish for the one which used to accompany the prime minister whenever he went out. So a huge affair. It had to flown in an aircraft and fiddling around to point out. Nowadays, that's not there. The fact is that your communications have to be spot on. Number two, you can't get involved with improvising on the spot. A very simple thing like the way the army talks and the way the navy talks are totally different. Army, when it talks, the calling station doesn't come first. Station being called is first. You
Yes.
say 1-5. Your own comes first, and then comes the one you're calling. The Navy does it the other way around,
Yes.
which is actually the more logical way of doing it.
So this
To be
has
very
to
frank.
be appreciated and catered for.
Talking about jointmanship, we keep talking about all things, but that's all on paper. It's all so much of hot air. On ground, there's hardly any jointmanship. We don't talk the same language. We don't have the same vision. And that, a bit extreme, my own way is probably we should go in for a integrated Indian Defense Force, not a separate army, not a separate air force, not a separate navy. That's all nonsense. I mean, get rid of all that. Get us
Actual
Indian defense.
jointness.
Like you see, if you recall, some people right at the time of independence had that idea that when they said that the NDA was formed, the when the balance of land was given to NDA, additional land, Mr. Morarji Desai was that time the Prime Minister of Bombay.
Yes. Yes.
Presidents used to have their own prime ministers, and he gave it with a very. It's there on minute that provided all future commissioned officers of the Indian Defence Forces are commissioned from here. He mentioned that.
That's how it
I
should
mean,
be done.
I would say there's another part.
Yes.
That's right. Right. The Israelis have that system almost. I think the Canadians also have it probably, right?
Yes.
So probably it is at a time because we are too big a country. You can never have a situation where all the people have jointly
Yes.
done training with each other. The next thing is that anything which is there, which has not been rehearsed, which has not been earlier on in your kind of
Catered for.
you you are on a iffy business. It may come through, it may not come through. Other thing is basically was that here it was a very good thing because probably we had a young prime minister who could ensure that everybody played ball and nobody played obstructionist. The rest of the
The
MACMA,
High Commissioner
the
was also there,
IAS,
Mr. Banerjee,
sorry, yes, he was there right from the time of briefing on, from there on to
from
the
Agra
time he was
onwards.
there, the first aircraft. Yes, from there, right till the first aircraft.
Okay.
He landed, and
Yes.
then after the whole thing was there, then we put him on
That was
to
Mr.
carry
A.K.
his flag
Banerjee.
back to
Yes.
the high commission. We had learned earlier on, we forgot, and we relearned it. Army, right from the Second World War learning, airborne operation is controlled. The minimum headquarter which controls this is a core headquarter. The Air Force side, it is the command headquarter because they don't have a core headquarter. In this case, what happened was Army headquarter itself directly jumped into it. But they'll have a lot of things. But the fact remains that there are some things of which they'll not be privy to. They weren't privy to how much time it takes for people to reel in from wherever they're doing, how much time it takes for people to get their act together. Yeah,
Yes.
what is the implication of having so many bodies?
A realistic assessment has to be done.
Assessment and the tasking of troops. The tasking of troops has to be to their
Task.
capabilities. And for people, for us at this level was that we have to know what our task is. And the first principle of war always applies: selection and maintenance of aim. You can't
Yes.
move it around. You can't move the goalpost
Selection
around.
and maintenance of aim. That's taught
It's
in
very important.
NDA.
That's considered the first principle of war.
Yes.
There are a few things. There are a whole lot of other
Very,
stuff
very
which we learned.
important aspects you have brought out that they emerge from this operation. And do you think that having regard to the task or the mission that was there, far too many sort of higher echelons were milling around? You were there with your CO, then the brigade commander, and then sort of information being given. So, did that make your task difficult in any way?
There were, you are very right that there were too many people who would probably be just mere hindrance. But I was very, very fortunate in that, you see, what happened was at one stage, it was the net, the battalion net on which I was there as the company commander.
Yes.
Everybody jumped onto that net, and I'm in the process of crossing
Yes.
that time. Now, you can't have people think because then your communication, which may be of more relevance, will wait its time. So I told Brigadier Joshi, sir, ye thoda sa clear karao. And he said, fine. And he made sure he says, everybody off, including the brigade quarter. He says, get off.
Okay.
You know,
So, what communication, what sets you had at that point of time?
they were very rudimentary sets. We had the AM sets series, that
Okay.
the HM series, that these things. There were a few ANPSC also still around. There were a
Okay.
few of those
And who
VM
was the
series.
Sparrow? I am thankful to you for a very informative, factual information that you have brought out. You were a company commander and later on you got acquired and earned more experience. So you've been able to think in hindsight also and bring out the lessons for which would still be useful in future.
I was fortunate enough to practice also what I believed in or what I experienced, and that paid me rich dividends. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.